So how do you think art's impacted society or the world?
The society and the world.
Yeah.
Well, if we look at ancient times, art was just for rich people. There was very limited amount of materials or canvases or marble, and so it was only just for rich people, and poor people didn't have an opportunity to really express themselves or communicate through art. And so now we depend on art so much as a visual cue to know what we're looking at or how to interpret things. And like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I think that our society now really depends on visual information more than any other generation has. So it's vital for us to be able to communicate through imagery, video, paintings, logos. If it doesn't have some visual part, it's ignored. I can't imagine a commercial without some visual part, or a message, or even something that comes in the mail that they want to sell you something. We're so dependent on visual information now that that's such a big integral part of our society in the way that we communicate. I think it's huge because there's so many more materials available to students now that weren't available before. I think the price of materials has gone down, and then there's no price on drawing something on a screen or taking a digital picture. You don't have to develop it, and so I think it's a lot more free and easy form of communication now for students, for anybody. Even little kids have cameras, digital cameras now, or on your phone. So yeah, again, it's like another very essential way to communicate visually, and students depend on it to communicate with each other. Me as a teacher, well, I used to get in trouble for coloring on the walls when I was little. I had my first set of crayons and colored on the walls, and I used to get in trouble for that. But as I grew up, I did murals and got paid to do murals on walls, and I've always loved art. I communicate better through pictures and images, and I love that art is available to students now in a way that it was never available for any other generation before. So I think I'm inspired to help students communicate better through 3D and through game design and through photography and all of the ways that I know how to enhance their ability to communicate with pictures, and I love that.
How do you think society would be if we didn't have the means to express ourselves, if we didn't have technology or art as we do now?
Wow, I think it would really put us way back to kind of the Stone Ages again, where everything would be bland and the same, and we wouldn't have anything to communicate or look at or be inspired by. I think it would be very boring, and I think that people would have a much harder time of communicating ideas without imagery. Everybody would be wearing the same thing. There would be no artists making new things. There would be no technicians creating answers, or it would be a sad loss. Because I think it really teaches you to problem solve and through communication and work things out in ways that you can't do in any other way.
Thank you.
Well, before I actually took this class, I didn't really think that much of it. I just took it as a way to, it's something fun to do, it's a way to express yourself. But now after I've taken it, this is my second year of taking it, I've actually thought of doing more into a career into it, and I never really thought about it that way before. Well, for me, I think it does, but I'm more, it depends on how open you are to the situation. But art, it's more personal than public. It's not, I don't go around and talk about it with everybody because it's not just everybody's thing. It's more personal. It's how I like to do my personal time and how I like to express myself.
Well, art's like breathing. You can't live without it.
What do you think, how it's affected our society and the way people see art or the way people feel in art?
Well, actually, what the purpose of art is that it's how people pass on culture from one generation to another. If you think about when we look back, way back in time, what do we look for? We look for the artwork. Even archaeologists will dig up pottery that's 5,000, 6,000 years old or more and put them back together and find out what people ate, what they drank, how they preserved their food, how they prepared it, things like that. So art tells a story about the people and the culture and the time. And really the purpose of art is for self-expression and to tell your story. So every kid, when they're about 5 or 6 years old, is an artist or a dancer or an actress or actor or all of those things, a singer, a musician. If you ask a 5-year-old, they're all of those things. Somewhere along the way, that kind of gets squashed out of people because they think, oh, I can't do everything perfectly, but that's not what art is about. Art is about taking what's in you and putting it out there and expressing something and communicating with other people. And it's also a way of documenting our society and our history. It's an artistic way, and that's your art form that's going to carry about your story, and it's going to carry out the story of what happens in our art classrooms. So it's more than just something people do for fun. It really is a thing that has held society together forever.
How do you think a high schooler sees art in their own opinion?
How does a high school see art in their opinion? Well, I think that too many people misunderstand the value of the arts, and sometimes they get kind of put on the back burner. Fortunately, that doesn't happen as much in our school district as it does in other school districts, but there's lots and lots of research to show that students who study the arts, whether it's visual arts or dramatic arts or music, do better on standardized tests than students who don't. So it teaches people to problem solve in a different way than this is the right answer and this is the wrong answer, because problem solving in art is a way of thinking where you come at several different answers for the same solution or the same problem, several different solutions to the same problem. So if you look at what the kids are doing in this class, I gave them a task or a problem to solve, but everybody in here's got their own take on it. So each person's artwork is going to look different from another person's because their understanding of the material, their use of their hands and so forth is different. So if you think about it, we could go to IKEA and we could buy a cup for coffee or tea, I drink tea, for $1 or $1.50, right? But it's made by a machine and you have no relationship with that. You don't think about that cup, it's just in your cabinet. It's not anything special. There's a million of them, billion, rather. But if you go someplace and you buy a cup that's handmade, you might see the fingerprints of the artist that make it or that made it. Maybe this one is different from this cup, and each person has a different solution to the same problem. So both of them are cups that are more interesting than something that you would see in a department store or something that's made by millions. And the cool thing about pottery is that you could go to the art museums and see something that was made in Egypt 2,000 or 3,000 years ago and maybe see the fingerprints of the artist who made it way back then. And you get this personal connection with somebody that you would never have had a chance to meet or know anything about. But you can see how they saw their society, how they saw their world, and how they expressed themselves. And then maybe even see their real fingerprint. I think it's really astounding, actually. And when you take clay, which is manageable dirt, and we take that clay and we make something that is going to last 4,000 or 5,000 years or more, because it's got to be ground down by earth and weather and pressure to become clay again. That's really an amazing thing. It's miraculous. So the changes that happen from mud to become something you can drink coffee out of.
Thank you.